Hi guys, welcome back to L.J.W Reactions. I'm Victoria and I'm back with another Blake Lively Justin Baldoni video, and this one is called Blake Lively Legal Battle Gets Worse, Text Messages and Agency Drama. Now for those of you who've been living under a rock or have a life outside of social media and YouTube and just pop culture, there's an ongoing feud between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. So at the nucleus of this feud is the movie called It Ends With Us, and in short, Justin Baldoni was producing and also starring in this movie alongside Blake Lively. The intent, I presume, was to bring on an A-list celeb in order to basically propel the movie and get viewers. In that respect, they were quite successful in that they made, I think, about 300 million, and the movie cost about 25 million to make. So a really good profit. Now, the sad thing is that Blake Lively, who was brought in as an actor, really wanted to direct and have editing control of the movie and tried to basically complete a hostile takeover of the entire movie. At the end of it, she filed a sexual harassment complaint, which then turned into a lawsuit, and then he counter-sued them because he's like, hold on, you defamed me by basically telling lies, and yeah, this is not right, I'm taking you to court, as he should. So that's basically the essence of it, and that's a very high level overview. There are tons of videos out there for you to really get up to speed on. So I imagine this is just an update as to what's happening. So without further ado, let's just watch.
New text messages that don't make her look good. People are saying that she was flirting with Justin Baldoni, and she is also trying to subpoena Justin Baldoni's text messages along with the rest of his team. She wants to see what the heck they were saying over the last 2.5 years. So let's get into everything that has been reported. The drama surrounding their legal battle over It Ends With Us has escalated big time, and we just got some major updates that are honestly wild. I mean, their SNL stunt this weekend still has people talking.
Yeah.
And if you didn't see it, Blake and Ryan made an appearance at SNL 50, the anniversary special, on Sunday.
It just seems so forced.
Joint public outing since the whole legal battle kicked off. During the special, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler did this audience Q&A segment. Ryan Reynolds raised his hand and they asked him, how's it going? And instead of some PR safe answer, he just goes, great, why?
What have you heard?
And immediately the room felt it. Like, sir, we have all heard something. It was giving let's address the elephant in the room with humor. And honestly, not everyone loved it.
It
People
flopped.
felt like it was making a joke out of the situation, which most felt like under the circumstances.
Yeah, like you wouldn't. If your wife was truly sexually harassed, I can't imagine a world where a husband publicly makes a joke about the situation. Like, no one's going to convince me otherwise. It just doesn't really happen in the real world. Now granted, Hollywood isn't the real world. I mean, these people live, their moral compass is slightly skewed and extremely, I guess, very different to the ordinary person, but still, it just doesn't, I can't really wrap my head around that. And yeah, it just doesn't really bode well for them in terms of public opinion. But I don't think they care about public opinion at this point.
Of them suing Justin for one of which is harassment, everyone just felt like this was in poor taste. And people felt like, you know, even Blake was caught off guard with this, the way that she looked in the sketch, but
I feel as though I can't, listen, these people are actors and actresses. I can't imagine that she didn't know that he was going to do something, because apparently this skit was his idea. He was meant to say something else. And apparently someone who works on the set of SNL said on an Australian radio talk show that actually this was all Ryan Reynolds' idea, and I could, like, it was really very much Ryan Reynolds coded, like the humor, the joke, how it landed, it very much gave Deadpool. Yeah, I'm sorry, but there's nothing authentic about this couple from my perspective, and I don't really know them obviously, but from what we get, there's something really inauthentic about them. So her acting was surprised and caught off guard. To be honest, she could be pretending. I really don't know.
Who knows? Obviously things on SNL are pre-planned, so I don't know if he just improvised this one little answer, but they knew that they were going to call on him or what. I'm not sure, but it certainly was making a statement of them just attending in the first place, with some feeling like them showing up to SNL 50, walking the red carpet. It was them sending a message that Hollywood still accepts them and that they're unbothered. They're able to joke about the situation.
And which is crazy, because whilst they are joking and openly going to these events and mingling with their colleagues, essentially, industry colleagues, I suppose you would say, someone's life is in the process of being destroyed. Like, someone else is suffering. Like, Justin's family, I can't really imagine them going to these events and people within this industry receiving that well. I just can't imagine him doing that. It just doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really make, obviously, in terms of their career, and this is their job, so I get it from that perspective. But generally, based off of the suit that was dropped, we were all under the impression that she's so distraught and she's absolutely devastated at the events that took place. And I can't really imagine someone who is that devastated would be out and about making jokes and smiling, having pictures taken, because apparently they don't need to have their photos taken. You can apparently go into SNL without doing the whole red carpet thing, but it was all very intentional, and that just seems very inauthentic if you bring in the context as to what's happening in terms of the lawsuits.
But it just didn't sit right with a lot of people who were watching this at home. Now, aside from this situation, in regards to what's going on legally, Blake Lively has officially subpoenaed Justin Baldoni's text messages in their ongoing legal feud. This is part of her team's effort to dig up evidence of what they claim is a smear campaign against her. Basically, Blake and her legal team are saying that Justin, along with his crisis PR consultant and some of their other entities, were working behind the scenes to destroy and bury her reputation. They believe that the texts will expose the people involved and the methods they used to turn the narrative against Blake over the past year. Now, I will say this has been a huge debate online because a lot of people feel like without Justin and his team, Blake alone destroyed her own reputation. That, nobody made her say the things that she said during the press tour, promote her hair care line at the same time as It Ends With Us. Those were not things that Justin and his team planted in the press. Those were things that she willingly said in interviews and posted online to promote her own brand, and people feel like she herself took her own reputation down and that it was not Justin and his team. Her attorneys even put out a statement saying, "We will now receive all of the receipts that, unsurprisingly, are nowhere to be found on Mr. Friedman's website." The statement read, referencing Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, and like Miss Lively, those receipts will have their day in court. Justin's team, on the other hand, is calling this move an overreach, saying Blake and her lawyers are asking for every single call, text, data log, and even real-time location information for the past 2.5 years.
Which, as someone who is not a lawyer, doesn't know anything about lawyership and what they do, it just seems really like unusual to want to subpoena that much record and like audit trail before, like, what is that even normal? I think I listened to Brian Friedman commenting on that, saying that it's unrealistic. It seems like they're fishing. It seems like they're fishing to find something that they could use to support their statement, and it just seems really bizarre. It's giving grasping at straws, really and truly.
His lawyer literally called it a massive fishing expedition and said it just proves that they're desperately searching for any factual basis for their claims. People reported in a letter to the court, Baldoni's lawyer, Mitchell Schuster, argued that Lively's subpoenas are flagrantly overbroad. "It is hard to overstate how broad, invasive, and atypical these subpoenas truly are," Schuster wrote. "This is civil litigation, not a criminal prosecution, and Lively and Reynolds are not the FBI."
Thank you. Like, you've already publicly tried to destroy this man's life. Why are you trying to dig into his private conversations? Like, what are you looking for? Conversations between him and his mum, him and his wife? Like, what are we looking for here? It just seems very bizarre, and it just gives I have control and I have money and I can do whatever I want. It's not a good look.
The court case isn't set to go to trial until March 2026, so there's still a long road ahead in this whole Hollywood legal saga. And just when you thought things couldn't get more chaotic, Justin's team seemed to have released some alleged text messages between him and Blake, some more of them, and they are interesting. Blake allegedly calls herself a ball buster and describes her love language as spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth. Ryan Reynolds even gets involved at one point, and we see those messages, and a ton of people have been analyzing these messages since they have been released online. And these are messages that we have not seen before. And basically in February of 2023, that's when they have this conversation. Blake texts Justin and says, "Your friendship support helped me with that also, so thank you. Not holding to anything professionally, just thank you for the friendship side in the meantime." He texts back and says, "For real, I was worried about you. That's so much to hold. I'm really happy for you. I bet you feel 1,000 pounds lighter." She said, "I really, really do. Only 20 to go." And he sends laughing faces. And this was her basically venting about how she was feeling about her body postpartum.
Yeah, I mean, like, in all the evidence that I have seen, it seems that he was really encouraging and really supportive. I mean, there's nothing in there and the interactions that have been released on Baldoni's website that indicates that she felt uncomfortable. If anything, it seems as though she was sort of spearheading the tone of their conversations, and I'm under the impression, correct me if I'm wrong, that he was simply mirroring that and just placating to her to make sure she was as comfortable as possible. You can tell he really wanted her to be happy, and I don't know how you go from that to just what it is now. It really doesn't make sense to me, and that's what we're trying to get to. That's what we're trying to figure out. How did we get from there to where we are, rather?
And how supportive he was being of her. They text the next day. It's Valentine's Day. He says, "Perfect. Thanks. It's leftover from the book tour from months ago, but nice to see people still care about it." She sends clapping emojis. He says, "Been deep into writing. Really fun with you in mind. Fun, not right word. Exciting." And she said, "You're safe here." And he sends a heart. Another text from February 28th. We see an exchange between Justin and Ryan. And Justin says, "Hey Ryan, Justin Baldoni here. The guy who brought his literal baggage to his meeting with your wife. I asked Blake for your number well over a month ago and have wanted to text you for a while now, but my good old nerves got the best of me. Emily and I have a very small circle. We've known all our closest friends for years, and I don't really have any close female friends that my wife isn't also friends with, let alone married ones. And so I guess this is just an awkward text to say I'd like to be friends. I'm glad there's no check yes or no box." He says, "Hey Justin, sorry for the delay. What a loving and generous message. Thank you. We're both looking forward to getting to know you."
Whoa, that's like wow, that's 11 days later. Huh. Okay.
And your family better. We're also big fans over here since before we met and more so after. You've been a wonderful collaborator and that meant a great deal to both of us. Being a stand-up person is everything, and you've been just that since day one. Thank you. I happen to adore you, Justin." Now in April of 2023, Blake says, "You're the absolute best. Thank you. And what you did inspired me. I love what we're gonna do. I can send you my pass at the roof or just read with you when we get together next week. Let me know what you prefer. If you knew me in person longer, you would have a sense of how flirty and yummy the ball busting would play. It's my love language, spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth, and him serving it back to her is just as important. You don't usually see both the man and woman with such agency and humor. Anyway, I can act it out for you next week to make sure it comes through, or I can send now. Let me know what you prefer."
Like, think about it. For those of you who obviously work and stuff, could you imagine communicating with your colleagues like this? To me, it just seems a bit inappropriate, personally. Like, I get heart in a comment, that's, to me, or a message, that's fine. But, like, just the nature of the message is extremely flirtatious. You know, there is a world where I think, oh, Ryan Reynolds saw these messages and was probably uncomfortable with it. Like, I can't help but think like that. But it could just be like, in that industry, that's how people communicate. But for me, who is a corporate girly, it reads a bit flirty to me.
sex. Justin says, sorry, was just crying my eyes out as kids and family just left for another 5 weeks and it was a ish show. And he says, yes, Sen, it's so important to the film and can't wait to play and find it. I agree so much. Lily needs to be strong and witty and playful and bold. That's why I wanted you. It's also one reason why I wanted to age her up. If a woman like you could age her that relationship, then anyone could. And the more we love them, the more devastating Act 3 is. Now, some other things that have happened in
his response was more professional, I think. But yeah, I think his was a little bit more like in line with what you would expect. Hers was just very over the top flirty.
Relation to this case is that this week during the Freakonomics radio live show Thursday night, Ari Emanuel, CEO of William Morris Endeavor, was asked about the whole Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively situation, as William Morris Endeavor WME is the agency that dropped Justin following Blake Lively's complaint coming out in December and that New York Times article. Ari, the CEO, was very vocal about his decision to stand by Blake and Ryan in this whole situation. As Deadline wrote, Ari Emanuel has been long known to consider loyalty a top virtue, and last night the Endeavor CEO came out unabashedly for Team Blake in the convoluted and sprawling conflict between the It Ends With Us stars Ryan Reynolds and former WME client Justin Baldoni. I am a ride or die and they're good people. I've known Ryan and Blake for over a decade, Emanuel said at a taping of the Freakonomics radio live show Thursday night. They're really incredible people, he added, in Hollywood. They have been incredibly successful. People work with them. They've never had any bad mojo out there or treated people badly. They are charitable. We help them with their foundation. They've given tons of money away.
I think there is a world where people are really nice people to certain people, right? I imagine, of course, they'd be really nice to Ari. I mean, Ari is essentially your boss. Ari would be nice to them. I would imagine they're bringing in a ton of money for him and his business. So I see that. I'm sure the experience he has with them is one that's positive. But that's not to say that's going to be the same with everyone else. I mean, we've had a number of people who have worked on sets with these guys come out and say that they're really not that pleasant to work with. And to me, it's one of those things where it's like, probably don't meet your idol because they're probably not going to be the nicest of people. So I take this article with a massive heap of salt, if I'm honest.
He continued, this is a effed up bad situation with what Baldoni, whatever his name is doing, Emanuel said.
I mean, that's just disrespectful and really not professional. So at that point, I'm not listening to him anymore. Like, yeah, that's just so disrespectful.
Till I fired him, Emanuel said, it's not really fair. I've known Ryan and Blake for over a decade. If what is alleged in her lawsuit, what happened on social media in terms of Baldoni allegedly planting negative stories about the actress is true, just because she complained to the studio that things were unhealthy on this set and that he was director and this man, Jamie Heath, was the producer, and they did that to her, what is being alleged. They're really bad people. I know Blake, I know Ryan, they're good people. So despite the fact that in the beginning WME had come out and said that it wasn't Blake and Ryan in their ear as to why Justin was dropped from this agency, I think it seems very clear that that's quite literally exactly what happened. Their loyalty to Blake and Ryan and, wanting to believe that story in the New York Times is the reason why he was dropped from his agency. And I think, a lot of people read that New York Times article and read her complaint and were just like, oh my gosh, this is disgusting. What is being alleged here? But as more and more has come out, a lot of people have been wondering if, WME jumped the gun here and took him off too soon because we were only hearing one side. And of course, you definitely want to be believing people when they come out and say something happened. But as so much has been revealed in the situation, it's really hard to be like 100% about, what Blake was saying in that New York Times article. I mean, we're seeing video evidence of things not exactly being the same as the way that she was writing them in her complaint. And so there's all these things that have happened that people are questioning. And so they're looking at WME like, I don't know if you guys maybe made the right move. I mean, I think in the end they made the right move, because why would Justin want to work with anybody that is calling him baloney? Okay, first of all. And going forward, they would probably be super biased towards him and not getting him the projects or, the things that he is wanting out of an agency if this is how they are speaking about him and if they are so close with Blake and Ryan. So I think in the end, it is the best that they're no longer together under the circumstances. Not the best, but this is just such a tricky situation. So with subpoenas now flying, Justin's texts being picked apart and a $400 million lawsuit hanging in the balance, things are far from over. Honestly, this whole situation has been insanely messy, and it's wild how quickly a working relationship on a Colleen Hoover adaptation turned into a full-on Hollywood war. Which, by the way, Colleen Hoover has returned to social media after taking a break. She ended up removing all the photos she had with Justin and Blake, so clearly she wants this mess far away from her. But that's what's going on in this case as of right now. I certainly want to know what you guys think about all of this. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's really sad, this situation. And do you know what? Something that sort of I can't help but think is, I hope this doesn't get so muddied that people forget that at the heart of it, there is a truth and there is a lie. And I get the sense that Blake's team are maybe just putting a lot of stuff in social media and out there so that we do get a little bit confused and lose sight of like the fact that someone may have been wrongly accused of sexual harassment. I really don't want us to lose sight of that. I mean, none of these people know me, but I think this whole thing represents something a lot more than just these Blake and Justin. Hence why, you know, it has a lot of traction and a lot of media attention. But yeah, no, definitely let me know your thoughts. And yeah, it just Hollywood and just certain sections are just so fickle, right? People are so fickle. It's like, if you're super popular, if you bring in lots of money, that's where your value lies. Otherwise, you will be dropped, like, with very little thought and consideration to what could be true and what could be not true. But yeah, no, let me know your thoughts. I think the next video I react to will not be a Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni. I think I need a break from them, to be honest with you. And I imagine you probably do as well. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. And like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.